maybe a recess or a hollow, a niche is like or it could be like you could imagine like a hole that a spider lives in is that spider's niche, or a place that a bird sits in a tree could be its niche. So when they talk about a niche lifestyle, they're talking about a very small specific that only belongs to some some creatures and not others, some people and not others. Um, and that's why they're using the verb relegate, because to relegate is to take something down a level or reduce it in importance. So if you think about in association football, if you play in the Premier League, but you lose all your games, your team gets relegated to the championship. They go down a level. So it's saying that it's something that belongs to a less important category. This was once something that only very few people could do, but now it's becoming mainstream. It's become a something that more people can do. I actually still think in world terms it's a pretty small number of people, but um, like if I think of people in my office who could work this way, maybe one or two people could work this way. The rest of them couldn't get away with it. So because of their jobs, what they actually have to do. So it still feels very niche to me, but I don't know. Only one spider can fit in that hole. So like if I said something was a niche lifestyle, I would say that very few people could live that life. It would only fit just a few people.
Perfect. Let me trans. So, as you said, niche lifestyle. There was a small. Suppose that there is a small hole, and the spider can get there, or a niche can be a hole in a tree that the birds can be there. But now everyone can have this kind of lifestyle as a mainstream work paradigm. But you still think that it is not correct. Yep.
I just don't think that. I think it's still pretty niche. Like it's still not something that many people can do. I think more people can have more flexibility, but nomadism to me implies that you can move from place to place. And I might be able to work from home 1 or 2 days a week, but I couldn't leave the city. Like I couldn't leave Sydney and still be able to do my job. And I don't think many people could be completely away. Even people that I know who commute from outside of Sydney, they still have to live in places where they can get to Sydney easily, like on a train or a plane. So,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, so firstly, it's kind of a cliche, deep yearning. Yearning is like desire, but it's already a deep kind of desire. It's a wanting that is like an existential wanting. If you yearn for something, it implies that your whole being wants that. It's not like a superficial desire. So deep yearning is almost a tautology. You're almost saying the same thing twice. To say that it's a deep desire or a yearning would be to say the same thing. Kind of saying here, if they're saying it's a deeper yearning, and it's being spoken to, they're saying that some or perhaps even all people feel this kind of desire. Um, I've just looked up yearning, and I think that one of the key things about it that's different from it being deep is that it's persistent. So it comes back. You feel this constant yearning for something. You want to be free. You want to go on adventures. Um,
But
yeah, or get easily. Yeah.
for example,
You feel this persistent wish for a garage full of Lamborghinis, like 10, at least 10. And it's not easy to get, and you might never get it. I think that's part of it as well. So
can,
it's we often yearn for something a bit less concrete than that. Um, I think you could yearn for Lamborghinis, but it's very specific and it's very concrete. I think a yearning is usually about something a bit more general or abstract, like yearning for love or yearning for adventure or yearning for wealth, maybe. Um, but I think it's often, yeah, it's often for something that we would all consider valuable rather than something that we would see as more like specific material wants.
But
Wouldn't
if
make
you,
any sense to say that I yearn for food, because firstly, you can't, if you don't get food, you die. So persistent desire is not there, right? Um, I mean, wide open spaces, like without buildings and people around.
mm,
So maybe for the savannah,
oh,
I
okay,
don't know.
yeah,
Um,
great.
mhm.
So wishing something that you
And
cannot
it's
obtain.
usually you usually that wish it it persists, it stays around. You don't, it's not like you wake up one day and you want freedom and then the next day you forget about it because you want something else instead. Yearning continues.
And after yearning, we mostly use for, yeah.
Yearning for something, yes, that's right.
Can you say for yearning for love, as you mentioned?
hmm Yeah, yearning for love, yearning for romance,
Mhm,
yearning for true companionship. Usually they're things that are seen as valuable, but also they're usually abstract things.
okay. Regarding this blank,
It, I guess um, it wouldn't really make sense to say an overlooking way of living and working. And it also probably wouldn't make sense to say a willing way of living and working. Grammatically, you might be able to say a willing way of living and working. Um, but in the full context, for that way to be willing is kind of strange. We would usually talk about a person being willing, or we would talk about a thing overlooking something else. Like let's say a building that overlooks a park. Um, so
our hotel room overlooked the harbor.
yeah,
It means
physical situation of being in one place and being able to see another.
so overlook mostly used for physical situation.
Yeah,
So,
a
okay.
physical vantage or perspective. So it wouldn't quite work if we're talking about a way of living.
And
An adjective to a person. Uh, I'm a willing person, or I would be willing to do that.
if you are willing to
Uh,
fly at night, okay.
yeah. So it's usually because it's about will, volition, that is something that people are seen to possess, whereas a way of living and working couldn't really possess a will. Mm,
Blending is correct.
mm.
So why willing cannot be correct? Can you explain this one?
Again, it's about um, firstly it's about a lifestyle. So a lifestyle, what can a lifestyle do? A lifestyle can't will something because to will something you have to be a human agent or possibly a god. I don't know. Um, so it implies a person or an agent that's different. Whereas a lifestyle can combine things or blend them or include things, but it can't really will them. So it's about the subject of the sentence, doesn't agree with this verb. So a nomadism, being a nomad, it means that you live by taking sustenance from the land. And the way that you can do that in two different ways. You can farm, you can plant plants, and but you have to stay in one place. Or you can move with the seasons from place to place. So nomads are people who, yes, they have one country that they live in, but they move around within that country to get, let's say in summer they can go fishing somewhere, so they go there and they fish. In winter they have to go further away from the cold weather, so they move to another part of their country. So that's what nomadism is like. It's,
Relegate means to put someone or something to a lower position, yeah?
or it could mean to a less important position. So in this case, I think because it used to be relegated to a niche, that is, it used to be seen as less important because only very few people could do it. Now it's becoming mainstream. That's what they're saying. So once was this, now is this other thing instead. So relegation means it's seen as less important, or it's put in a less important category as a type of lifestyle. It's about the importance of understanding this way of living. If lots of people do it, it becomes important. So they're kind of imagining it from the perspective of social scientists or people who study workplaces, or maybe commenters. Whereas if only very few rich people can do it, um, then yes, that those people are socially important in other ways, but their lifestyle is not common enough to be a phenomenon that has to be observed. I also wonder whether there's something here, like the truly rich, of course, don't have to work office jobs, whether they're working them on a laptop from far away or so I wonder if that's also part of this, that it was niche in the sense that there are only very few people in between situations that could do this.
Yeah, great. Thank you very
Mm.
much.